Freedom Fighters, I'm coming back at you with another one. Well, today's video is going to be Behind Every Blade of Grass Part 2. So I had a little bit of backlash on that video, and I figured I'd explain a little further, what my point I was trying to make about it, was, and expand on that thought process a little more. Kind of go over what I was the point I was trying to get across, I don't think really got, nailed home. So I'm going to talk about it again. But anyway, I was trying to look up that video to kind of watch it again and like see exactly what I said and kind of go over certain points. But yeah, anyway, I was trying to look up the video, and like I said, man, I'm so censored and shadow banned. Like, you can't even find my videos. I'm trying to search it using the exact title, and it doesn't even pop up. And you can try to search it by channel name. My channel name's like so far hidden. Like I say, I see hundreds of freedom fighters before my channel even shows up. I have to like scroll through like 10 pages before I finally find it. But anyway, so one of the first things you see if you type in Behind Every Blade of Grass, you'll find a short from Adam Calhoun. And I was surprised when I saw that. I'm like, oh, let me check this out. This is pretty good. I don't know if you guys know him. He's like a country rapper, I guess is the category you'd put him in. He's pretty good. I like his music. I like his stuff. But, anyway, it happened to be that he had a video on this topic. But he's talking about, behind every blade of grass, in America, there's a firearm. And it just so happened to nail my point home that I was trying to get across was this is coming from someone who's supposedly he's done videos before about his past felonies and that he's disarmed. And I've seen videos of his before. I kind of went through again just to look, but there's videos in it where his co-star or another artist that he's with is using firearms or carrying firearms, and then I noticed he never is. And he like I said, I watched a video in his past where he talked about he went to prison because someone was talking shit to him and his brother or something, and he like broke into their house and beat him up or something like that. So he talked about that and his history. But yeah, the point I was trying to make was exactly like that. How can someone be talking about there's a firearm behind every blade of grass who is disarmed? And from, all his videos appears to not be, posing with firearms and stuff like that. And I can't remember who it was. It was one of these like big time rappers that I remember did a music video with some firearms, and they were fake. And he got raided and arrested because and they found them too, and they were actual like prop weapons, and they still arrested him. And they said because of his charges, he can't even pose with props. He can't even have fakes. And I've covered this before. I did a live PD episode a while back, and I'm not even sure that video's still up. They take those videos down all the time for like copyright strikes and stuff, and they just don't want people to see, you calling them out on their bullshit, and they blatantly show to the world on national television, violating people's rights, and they don't want you to see that. But I did a video where they arrested this guy during a traffic stop. I forget exactly what it is. I think he bumped into a car or something and kept driving because he probably saw the cops, or he ran a stoplight or something like that. But then they searched the car and they found him with a starter gun, like literally like the beginning of a race, like a flare gun or a pop gun, something like that, where you wave the flag and go and pop it. But yeah, starter gun. Well, anyway, they arrested him for that, and I've done other reports where they've arrested people for BB guns. And again, like that case with that rapper, I can't even remember who it was, but posing with prop weapons and stuff like that, they still charge people for that. So again, how can you think that there's guns behind every blade of grass when you yourself have been disarmed and know there's millions of other people like you? And then there was a comment there from Nick, I think 4888, and I've talked to you a couple times. I mean, I know we're pretty much on the same, and I can't remember, man. Are you if you're watching this even, are you NG? You guys switch up your channels and stuff so much. I can't keep track of all that. Or I know Matt Kiss My Ass Socialist. He changed his stuff. I think he's the old man with a gold pen now. But anyway, yeah, I can't remember exactly what his comment was, but it was something along the line like, no matter what they ban or, what they do, there's 3D printers and people who are, proficient with tools and stuff. And again, I was like, that kind of nailed home, the point I was trying to make was that, first of all, I mean, how many people do you know who are 3D printing firearms and like handing them out or whatnot? And that's an illegal activity. And those people are going to get arrested and, they're not going to let that fly, which is why they've banned ghost guns. And then, you know, and people don't even know how to use. I mean, I don't know how to use a 3D printer. You could put me right in front of a 3D printer and give me the blueprints, and I probably couldn't figure out how to make one. And then I mentioned in that comment the guy, the so-called 3D print guy, the main one who was posting all the blueprints. They raided him and set him up on some kitty honey trap thing. So, if they can't get you on one thing, they set you up for another. They're not going to allow people out here to be, 3D printing stuff and, doing things freely. And that's why they've come down on 80% lowers and all these, do it your own 3D printed, plastic model kits and all that stuff. And they've gone hard on the ghost guns and all that because they're phasing that whole category out. Now, of course, you could always just, manufacture your own and go that route. But again, the same point was being made. How many people do you know out here are, have a lathe and are dremeling out parts and, buying steel rods and drilling out, barrels and, all these components, man? Like, not many. I go on a limb and say maybe 1% of the population has that, ability to, manufacture those items, correctly and assemble, a working firearm. Not, your normie, your coworker, your next door neighbor, whatever, is not doing this stuff. They're not, on that level. And someone else wrote a comment, and I can't remember this guy's name. And I went back on the video to look at it and kind of like, respond to that comment, but it's gone. So I don't know if they deleted it or YouTube did or whatnot. And again, if your comments go away or, you can't post something on my channel, it's the tube. It's not me. So I don't know what happened to that comment unless he removed it, but stuff goes missing on my channel all the time. I don't think I've ever blocked, but maybe 1, 2 comments, like, ever, because one was literally like a Chinese spam bot and it just kept like sending me notifications like every 10-15 minutes. So I shut that down, banned them from my channel. And then there was one person that was just like posting some really weird shit, and I'm like, I don't even know what the deal with this guy is. But everyone's welcome to have open debate or discussion. I don't care about that. So this guy was like, he took offense to me saying, like, we're all cowards. And he's like, I'm not a coward, you're a coward. And I agree, man. Like, I want to be crystal clear here. I'm not absolving myself of the label here. When I say behind every blade of grass is a coward, and Americans have all become cowards, I'm including myself. Believe that. I'm not absolving myself in that conclusion, or that hypotheses or whatever. My statement there is we're all involved, and that's what I said in there, man. Like, everything I have is legal, lawfully owned and possessed. I've gone to, big box retailers or FFLs or whatnot, and even if you go to a show or something, um, you ask these people like, "Oh yeah, man, can you do this?" With cash or something, or they always say, "Oh, we got to shut down the gun show loophole." There's no such thing. None of these people are willing to do that. So, and that's the thing, man. It goes all the way down the ladder. You talk to these FFLs, even ones that you've had relationships with, like, you've purchased multiple things from them or something like that. They're not willing to do one under the table. That's their business on the line. That's their license and all that. They're not playing that game. So, you know, again, everyone's following the law, everyone's following orders. The paperwork is filed, and like I said, man, they know what you have. Um, and that's to pretend otherwise, man. And that's the thing. This whole idea, like, we're not the wild, wild west anymore. We are literally domesticated sheep, and they let a few of us, participate and use our rights, or pretend, but it's all an illusion. Believe me, I know it's all an illusion. They're like, oh yeah, you can have this, it's your right. Then you realize, no, it's not your right. You've been granted permission. And the moment that they declare you, too dangerous, or they don't like your opinions, they remove that permission. And no one's gonna care, no one's gonna give a damn about it when they do it to you. Because we've covered over and over and over, plenty of cases when they remove people's rights, which, we already know how I feel. You can't remove rights, but, that's exactly what happens. And we all, what's the saying go? We all hang separately because we refuse to hang together. And whenever you see one of these cases, and that's what I mentioned about the people building their own firearms, was Dexter Taylor in New York. So again, this guy was, putting together pieces and stuff like that. They come raid him, put him in prison, I think, for 10 years. And you know what? Am I going up to the New York? I don't even know where he's at. Yeah, they might have put him in Rikers for all I know, or he's in some New York State prison. Am I headed up there right now to go at the very least protest, and wave signs, or do anything? I sure as hell ain't going up there and breaking them out, with a one-man army. That's just a death wish. But then, maybe some of these guys who run, large militias or whatnot, they could do some of that. But again, no one's putting that together, and we all hang separately, and it happens to us one by one. And, there's plenty of cases like that. I remember Whiskey Warrior, man. That's another guy. I never figured out what happened to him, but I covered that case a long time ago. And he got, his door knocked, and they went in and took his shit, and he called up some buddies, some of his militia guys, and they actually showed up, and they even charged the people, coming to defend him. So again, man, it's like we're already been stripped, man. This isn't the wild, wild west gun toting country that they make it seem like in the movies. I've talked about the Yellowstone, uh, perception of like the get off my lawn. And I remember that one scene where, the tourists show up on his ranch and he racks his shotgun, and scares them all off. And it's like, no, man, that you do that in the real life and you're getting charged, with brandishing or intimidation or something like that. Basically like what the McCluskeys did. So we're way beyond this point of there's a gun behind every blade of grass. We have a bunch of law abiding citizens behind every blade of grass. We have a bunch of compliant, complacent sheep behind every blade of grass. And, like I said, to some, uh, you know, circumstance, to a certain area, I'm a part of it, right? We're all playing the game to a certain extent, and we're playing along with it. But yeah, man, I mean, if anyone has anything to add to this, feel free to put it in the comments below. This will be, extension to the conversation. Oh yeah, and another thing I wanted to add was that, I saw this article. I'm gonna try to post that. I don't know if I can find it again, but it said something about like, oh, there's 400 million guns in America. And then what it mentioned in the article was really, but that 400 million guns are owned by like 72 million gun owners. And of those 72 million gun owners, there's a large part of it that are held by like, they said like 50% of that is of, I forget the term they gave them, but it's like super enthusiast, like gun collector or something that has like 20 or more firearms. And so literally like it's a small percentage of people holding all the weapons. And when you think like everybody's got a gun, oh, your neighbor's got a gun, your coworker's got a gun, you know, their mom, dad, and grandma's got a gun, and behind every blade of grass is a gun. No, it's rarer than the perception, is out there. And we are a select few, and a select few are easy to be singled out and targeted. And that's what you're seeing constantly, you know. And like I said earlier, I've met a couple people, and again, how many people do you know that have 20 or more firearms? And I met this one lady I was actually doing some work for that had like an extensive, like rare, and like vintage collection. And I remember trying to like, work out a deal where I said, man, I'm gonna do some of this work for you, and maybe you pay me off with one of those things. And she was kind of down for it, but then her sons got involved, and they were like, trying to do a background check and like go through an FFL and all that. And I'm like, man, these are antique weapons. Like, I mean, these were literally like Civil War like era, like 1800s, maybe early 1900, weapons and stuff like that. But she legitimately had like flintlocks and like muskets and all this stuff. And I looked it up. I can't remember the law, verbatim, like right off the top of my head right now. But, I was like, oh no, these are antique weapons. You don't need to do that. It's like pre, whatever. You don't need to do paperwork or anything like that. And the sons were like, oh no, just to be safe and everything. Like, I want to make sure everything's on the up and up. And I'm like, this perfectly describes, the FUD, mentality and just the law abiding citizen, a mentality. Everyone's like, stiff as a board, right? And like scared to, the tyranny is like a dark cloud that just hangs over our head and has everyone, scared to act out of place. So again, we're no longer those, you know, flag waving, God fearing, country loving, you know, warrior, rugged individual, spirited Americans. We are the fools. We are the cowards. We are the sheep. And we are being herded and we are getting ready for slaughter. So, as always, you know what it is, man. I'm going to leave it there. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom Fighters out.